Sometime around last year, in the end of 2020, that's when Microsoft updated Power BI with the new small multiples feature, and in this video we will be taking a look at how to use the small multiples chart. Now I already have my Power BI updated, and I am recording this in the month of May. So let's get started and let's see how we can use the small multiples feature. So keeping the same background in place, I'll right click on the sheet and I'll duplicate the page, and let's rename this small multiples. And what I'd like to do is I would like to remove all the objects, the charts and the slicers in one go instead of clicking on each one of them. So let's go to the View tab and let's click on the selection pane. In the selection pane you can see that I have all my images, cards and slicers. So if I click on the slicer, you can see that the slicer is selected. So I'll click on the first image, hold down the shift key button and click on the last one, so it selects all my objects in one go, and I'll click on the delete button. So that should delete all my objects and slicers. So now let's see how we can use a small multiples feature. What we would like to show is multiple charts by each quarter. So I'll click on the visualization pane and let's click on the stacked column chart. Let's bring the canvas here and I will click on my dates table, and we would like to show it by quarter. So I can drag the quarter in the small multiples dialog box here where it says add data fields here. So dragging the quarter field, and we would like to show on the axis the category. So I'll go to the sales table and I'm looking for item type name. Let's drag it to the axis, and what we would like to show is by values. So let's look for our DAX measure, which is the total sales, and I'll drag the total sales to the values field, and you can see that we have multiple charts and we're showing each quarter in different charts. So let's resize this first, and this, as I said, is one of the latest features in Power BI. Now let's do a little bit of formatting first. Let's get rid of the background. So in the visualizations pane, I'll click on the formatting toolbar and I'm looking for background. That should get rid of the background. Let's do a little bit of formatting on the X axis and the Y axis. So clicking on the X axis, I'll change the font to white. Let's inch up this to size 10, and for the title we don't need the title because that's self-explanatory, it's the category. Let's remove the title. Let's go on to the Y axis here, and for the Y axis we don't need the title as well. Let's change the font first because it's in gray. We would like to use a white font. Let's increase the size to 10. Let's get rid of the title, and we would also like to change the font of the quarters here and the heading as well. So that should be in the small multiples feature, which is here, and the font, we'll click on white. Let's bring it in the center, and we also need to format our title here. So I'm looking for title. Let's change the font to white, and that should be good to go. Now what's remaining is the data labels, because we would like to show the data labels. So let's look for the data labels let's check mark it as on, and you can see we have the values. Let's change the font to white here, and if I hover my mouse on the bar, you can see that it's showing the total sales. I would also like to show the margin and the quantity, so we can drag our measures to the tooltips. So let's go down, and we have tooltips here. So I'm looking for total quantity. I'll drag it to the tooltips, and I'm also looking for profit margin percent. Let's drag it also to the tooltips. And now if I hover my mouse, you can see that we can see the total quantity sold and the profit margin as well. Now that we have our small multiple charts defined here, we would also like to use slicers, so that we can use slicers to slice by customer, by sales rep, and by year as well. So let's bring in our slicers. I'll click on the first slicer. Let's resize it and format it first. And for the first slicer, I'll bring in the year. So I'll go to my dates table and drag the year. So we have the year. I would like to show this as a drop down, so I'll click on the drop down here, and let's make it into a drop down. And now we can choose any year at any given time. Let's format this. Let's click on the formatting toolbar. Slicer header is in black font, that's fine, and we don't need the background. And for the items, we need a font color which is going to be white. Let's change the background to a black, and let's check, and that looks fine. Now that we have our slicer, let's see if we can make the header bold. Let's click here, and we have font. Let's choose a font family which is Segoe bold, and we have Segoe bold, and that stands out now. So what I can do is I can Control C, Control V to make a copy of the slicer. Let's do one more, and the first one is for the year. The second one, let's bring in our customer names. So I can remove this and drag the customer name. For the third one, let's see, we can also show it by the sales rep. So I'm looking for sales rep, and we should have sales rep name. So let me just find it. This is our sales rep table. Let's drag in the sales rep name, and we can also have one more by city. So let's get rid of this, and let's look for the city table, and we have our city name. And now you can see that we have 4 slicers, so we can slice our multiple charts by city name, sales rep name, customer name, and year. So let's see how to do that. If I click on the drop down, I'll click on 2020, and if I choose Dubai, and you can see that now our data is filtered for each quarter for the year 2020 and for the city of Dubai. So you can actually see how we have performed for each quarter in one chart and by each category as well. Now since we have all our filters here, we have 4 filters applied here. So what we would like for the user is, we would like to give the user a good experience of resetting all our filters in one go. In other words, if we have 4 filters applied here, I would like to put a button here, and I would like the user to click on the button so that it resets all the filters in one shot. So the idea behind that is, first and foremost, let's import or let's bring in our image. So I have already downloaded the filter image. So I'll go to insert and I'll click on image, and I'm looking for my folder here. And I have the filter image, so I'll click on filter, click on open, and we have imported our image. I'll just resize it here. Let's bring it here, and once the user clicks on the filter image, all our filters should be reset to 0. So let's see how we can do that. So the first and foremost thing is that all your filters should be reset. So let me reset this first, and all of them are showing all. So this is where we can start now. So I'll click on the image and I'll go to the view tab and I'll click on bookmarks. Once we have bookmarks, we need to click on add. So I'll click on add, I'll double click on the bookmark, and I can rename this as reset filters. Let's press enter, and in the format image with the image selected, let's click on action. Let's check mark this as on, and for the type we will choose bookmark, and our bookmark name is called reset filters. So I'll click on bookmark and I'll choose reset filters, and that's about it. So let's hide this, let's hide the bookmarks, and let's see if this works. So if I choose a single customer, let's click on Carrefour, let's click on Dubai, and we don't have any data showing at the moment, so let's choose a different customer. Okay, so we have the customer name as Carrefour and we have the year 2020. Let's choose the person Christopher. There is no data, so let's choose another one. So we have a sales rep name here. Let's click on Karachi. There's no data, so let's see that we can get some data by choosing on a different city. We have one for Abu Dhabi. So we have 4 filters applied now: the customer name, the year, the sales rep name, and the city name. Now for the user to reset all the filters, all he has to do is click on control, click on the filter button, and you see that all our filters have been reset to the start position. So in this video, we took a look at how to use the small multiples feature, and the small multiples feature is good at looking at different categories using small multiple charts, which basically you can see in one go and have a comparison chart. Either you can do a comparison by category or a different timeline, and then using slices you can slice and dice your data. And we also took a look at how to use the reset filters by using bookmarks.